We also added the administrative regulations, which outlines the nursing care and procedures. And those are really robust and they're long, and they kind of just go into detail outlining exactly the way things will be done and handled, so there are not any questions. In terms of emergency medication, we also added the stocking of EpiPens and Narcan in all of the nursing offices. Those are the biggest changes in there. And this is the first reading. Yeah. And I know y'all got it before, so I didn't know if you had any questions before we go into it.
Any questions, board members?
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. Before you is the third reading on policy EEAE, bus safety program, EEAE-R, the administrative rule on the bus safety program, and EEAEC, student conduct on buses.
Okay. Last month, board members, if you'll remember, we asked Ms. LaToya to meet us in executive session to discuss the bus safety, just to actually change one word in the definition with the bus safety program. They consider a covered driver as anyone that could drive a bus. That could be a principal, it could be a coach, it could be anyone. The policy came out saying transportation staff. Well, we don't really think of a coach or a principal being transportation staff, so we talked to Ms. LaToya and we got that changed to say covered staff. So if anyone's for the safety of the children, one of them, LaToya, EEAE-R, did get changed, but the EEAE still reflects transportation staff. So
I will update that one, if you could, when you make the motion, just say with the change of that to cover staff.
got it, thank you. But we'll put that on both of these policies. Board members, are y'all following me? Okay. I just wanted to make sure, because we did discuss this last month. And that way we're covered,
Yes.
everybody. Even if I want to drive a bus, we'll be
Yes.
covered. Okay. And then the last one, EEAEC, student conduct on buses. Board members, if we can get a motion to approve all three with the update on EEAE to say covered, what did I say? Covered drivers instead of transportation staff. And this is the third reading. So we need a motion to approve all three of these with that change.
Ready for motion?
Yes.
Madam Chair, I make a motion we approve the bus safety program with the changes that was just stated.
I make a second.
Second. A motion has been made by Mr. Folks, seconded by Ms. Sinfinger. Are there any other questions? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you, Shanice.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. LaToya.
Hello again. Mr. Beckwith asked me to do a little presentation on Medicaid billing for y'all. All services that are provided are documented in our documentation system. It's a web-based system. And then students who have Medicaid and we have received Medicaid consent, we bill Medicaid for those services. So I've outlined in here the service providers that document and bill Medicaid. We have other providers that are not Medicaid billable. But we have occupational therapy, physical therapy, nursing, speech language pathologists, school psychologists, and an orientation and mobility specialist. And then just to kind of give you an idea of how many of each area we have, how many people in each area we have, I've listed the FTEs over there. So like physical therapy is only here 2 days a week, orientation and mobility is 1 day a week. And then other ones we have additional service providers. So for the 22-23 school year, our total reimbursement for all Medicaid billing was $143,700. that amount. We work really hard to continue to increase it every year. And like when I meet with everybody, I don't say bill Medicaid, I say document. Because that is truly what is most important, that we document, but if you document, you bill. So in terms of where do the funds go, they go back to paying salaries for, and it varies by year, school psychologists, speech pathologists, or nurses. Do you have any questions about Medicaid billing? Yes.
One question, and that is with your nursing, and after 70, is that one person of, that you have being salary that's generated from this fund?
Oh, no, there's multiple different, you mean in terms of where do the funds go?
Mhm.
No, like for right now, so I just met with Anna last week, and we've got to tweak some things, but like 0.25 of one person's salary and 0.75 will be of another person's salary, so there's different ways that the salaries are broken down, and I don't exactly, that's more of like a finance thing, but we're gonna keep working on that. In the past, it's been like one whole nurse and 3/4 of a speech pathologist or what have you, so.
Okay, for instance, you have nursing, 7.
Oh, I'm sorry, so that's the FTEs. So if you look at the service providers, an occupational therapist, we have one FTE in the district.
So that's a full-time person.
One full-time person,
Oh,
yes.
that's
And so
good.
for a physical therapist, we have a 0.4 FTE. So we have one physical therapist, but she's only here twice a week. So that actually equates to a 0.4 full-time position. We have 7 full-time nurses in the district. We have 4 full-time speech language pathologists, 3 full-time school psychologists, and then our orientation and mobility specialist is only here 1 day a week. I just wanted you to know kind of how many people we had in each area, because it's not a large number of staff that are generating a considerable amount of money.
I guess my question was, were these funds generating their salaries?
No, not entirely, no,
Not
that's
in-
a
not in
lot
their-
of people.
Not in their entirety.
No, not at all. And so IDEA requires that these services be provided regardless of whether or not students have Medicaid. If they have Medicaid, though, we do bill and generate funds back into the district. But these are positions that have to be provided regardless.
Any other questions, board members? Great report, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Martin?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm going to give an operations update and highlight a few things that went on since our last meeting. On September 21st, we had our district safety meeting, which we had 33 attendees on that meeting, which was outstanding. And that included various stakeholders like principals, SROs, school safety team members, local law enforcement agencies, the fire marshal, Dorchester County Emergency Management Representative, and our DD4 safety team members. So we collaborate, go over safety and security issues, and do planning, and what we can do to address any safety concerns within schools. September 26th, the maintenance team performed the first scheduled new middle school walkthrough prior to the OAC meeting. So the OAC meeting now, we're doing a scheduled maintenance walkthrough, and any other individuals that are invited to attend these or would like to attend. And that, especially on the maintenance part, it's essential because the maintenance people could see inside the ceilings, walls, and everything before it's concealed. And there's a lot of things, information that they'll know for after the fact. And we'll be performing these walkthroughs prior to every OAC meeting, and if there's any other event or scheduled walkthrough we need to do. September 28th, I had Mastercraft come down to Woodland, and we did a thorough evaluation of gym bleachers. And that type of evaluation is something we're doing with, and you'll look on other pages, something we do with a lot of our assets. So I bring in subject matter experts to evaluate the condition condition and also do capital planning that way. But those bleachers, I found that they're starting to break more. We just replaced a lot of them last year, and they're starting to break, and they're 20-some years old, but there's a new style bleacher they're retrofitting it with, so we're looking at doing it that. But those are the that's one example of ongoing assessments we do. October 10th, we attended a virtual meeting on a potential energy emergency management system that integrates with the existing system we use now, because we're looking for ways to improve the communication across schools in emergency situations. And the goal is to ensure the staff are able to send emergency alerts and also receive notifications in any type of event in the school, like a lockdown, or also it's a streamlined effort using a process like this for reunification. So we are meeting again with this provider to see, what costs associated with it, but the more that we can integrate into existing systems, the better. This coming Friday, we're going to host a custodial professional development at Harleyville Elementary School, and that'll be more hands-on equipment. We're doing floors, carpets, and that'll be from like 8 to 3 o'clock. So that's an ongoing effort to make sure our custodians are up to date on cleaning techniques to enhance their skills so we can get better at maintaining schools. And there's always a list of project updates and work order planning, but I did want to highlight on the very last page, the work order summary, that our planned maintenance task, which last year we started really kicking off our FMX system. I think it was around August is where it really took off. We had everything in place. And we're up to 379 planned maintenance tasks, which that just increased. We're upwards of around 400 now. But those are reoccurring work orders in our system that auto-populate that we're doing preventative maintenance or scheduled maintenance on. That's not reactive maintenance. So our maintenance request is right under 2,000 since last August. And that's with the size maintenance team we have and also doing any type of contracted work. So the schools are really utilizing the system. It's exciting to watch it grow. And if you look at the dashboard, you can see the breakdown of the different services provided and the different categories. And your HVAC is always going to be your top one for comfort levels. But that's exciting stuff to watch that system really grow. Any questions?
Any questions, board members?
Nothing?
Great
All right.
report, Mr. Martin. Thank you. Student Services, Dr. Stevens.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi.
I'm standing before you asking permission for Mr. Cody Floyd to take his ag class to North Myrtle Beach for the South Carolina FFA camp. And it is November 16th through the 19th. And so that's a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Okay, board members, this is an action item that we will need to vote on tonight. So if you look over and have any questions for Dr. Stevens?
And
You-
the mode of transportation is the career school activity bus.
Yeah. You said 16 to 23? Well, here it
has
says,
15, or
yeah,
yes.
that says 15. I'm just,
Yes, but I think when he realized that's probably the day the conference starts, but he will be going in on that
16.
Thursday.
16.
No, 15.
Okay.
Any questions? Anything? Anybody? It is an action item. We do need a motion to approve this tonight.
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Okay. Dr. Hodges?
I second that.
Ms. Enfinger? A motion has been made by Dr. Hodges, seconded by Ms. Enfinger. Are there any more questions? All in favor, please raise your right hand. It is approved. Thank you.
On behalf of Mr. Floyd and his ag class, thank you.
Well, you're welcome, and they are doing great things. And thank you, Bobby Bears here from the Career School. We thank you for the use of your activity bus. Thank you. And Ms. Stacy, if you'll remind me to be sure to sign that. Thank you. Okay, let's see. Superintendent,
All right, we've got a few things here. Most of them are just information. The first one, modified school calendar. We're trying to keep up with our neighboring school districts that are all looking at school calendars for the 24-25 school year. A part of what they're looking at is adopting a modified calendar or going with a traditional calendar. Main reason for doing it so early is if it is a modified school calendar that's chosen, it's all about giving the families time to adjust their calendars, their schedules, to make it work next year. Now, you have 3 examples here, or 3 samples. This is just for you all to review. We're going to start talking to principals about it. I have a meeting with the Superintendent's Council on Thursday to talk a little bit more with them, and we'll make some adjustments, and then we'll start pushing it out a little bit more and talking to our families and having community meetings to discuss it, to see what the feeling is from all of our stakeholders. There's a lot of pros to be said for the modified school calendar. A lot of times you hear modified school calendar, you think year-round school. But what it really would be is starting about a week earlier. And there's 2 different samples in there of what it would look like, along with a traditional calendar. There's a lot of room for flexibility and for modifying, adjusting. This is the beginning of this process. But we just want to get the conversation started so we can be up to speed with our neighbors and working with Dorchester too to make sure we align our schedules since we share a lot of services with them. But really, the big thing that I like about it, the modified schedule, is that it ends the first semester before Christmas break or the winter break. So our students aren't coming back a week after winter break and then having to take finals. That's tough for any student to do. And then it also looks at the possibility of a fall break in October around this time to give teachers 3 days off or 5 days off, depending on which calendar you look at. But again, there's a lot of flexibility in there. You get a couple extra days now. You give some up at Thanksgiving break and vice versa. So this will be conversations we'll start having. I ask you all to just review it, look at it. Please provide any thoughts that you might have when you're looking at it. There's a lot to take in. I know it's been a lot of information tonight, and I just wanted this to be something you had for the next month of review and look at.
Okay.
Any questions about that?
Any questions, board members? Thank you, Mr. Beckett.
The next thing we had is, I just wanted to recognize Clay Hill Elementary. They were recognized by the State Department. Dr. Sanders, if you'll stand up. You know you love it when I do that to you.
She's like, oh, no.
They were recognized for their attention that they're given to physical education in their building, physical activity for their students, and the intentionality that they're doing with that. It's always nice to be recognized by the State Department. They were there last week, Tuesday, to get an awesome picture with the PE teacher, and so great job to Clay Hill. Next thing on the agenda that we have is Dorchester County First Steps. We partnered with Dorchester County First Steps for years. They do a great service for our younger population of students, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds. They work hand in hand with federal programs and our parenting programs. So Dr. Jackson has been involved with them for years and really done a great job, built a great relationship with them. We had a meeting last week, and she's going to be talking to our principals tomorrow. But one of the changes they just had with, one of the changes legislation just had is they are now requiring the school official who works with Dorchester County First Steps, really any county First Steps program, has to now be elected by the school board. And it has to be documented, the minutes have to be taken, we have to report that. So what we would like to do is take care of that tonight. Dr. Jackson has been phenomenal in her work with First Steps, and we'd like to keep her in that role, and First Steps would like that as well. So we have voluntold her that that's what we like to do. No, she really does a great job, and a lot of her programs support First Steps, so it just makes sense. But this would be an action item for the board to vote that Dr. Jackson be our district liaison working with Dorchester County First Steps.
This is an action item, board members, and Dr. Jackson has been recommended by the superintendent to fill this position. So we would need
I offer the motion.
a motion from Dr. Jenkins,
I'll second that.
motion second from Ms. Infinger. Any questions, board members? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Dr. Jackson. Congratulations for volunteering.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson.
For volunteering.
Volunteering.
Volunteering, yes.
And the last thing that I have tonight, the last board meeting, one of the policies that was passed had to do with a board self-evaluation. And so I'm going to send you an outline of a very basic self-evaluation. This, again, is for your review. And please provide any suggestions, thoughts. I looked at a number of self-evaluations from different school board associations across the country. Narrowed it down, kept it to some basic concepts and principles of school boards. And we can talk further about this in the November meeting. But this is for information and for your review over the next month.
Board members, last month we did pass the policy. It was highly recommended by the School Board Association or state policy that board members do self-evaluate themselves at a certain time of the year. So last month, we did vote on that, and we voted to do our evaluations at our board retreat, which will be in early December of this year. So this outline, thank you, Mr. Beckwith, for this, is just a starting point, and we can add, take away, change, whatever. So please take the time to look over that, and we'll address that in our November meeting.
And it's really set up, 10 questions have to do with the board as a whole, and then 10 questions as a board member as an individual. But again, like Ms. Hughes said, modify, adjust, feedback. This is really just a clean slate on where we want to go with it.
Thank you.
And that's all I've got.
That's it? Okay, well, thank you. Well, it's been a great meeting, and we're all so proud of Cam Pringle. I mean, can't hardly wait for that game to be played. So, and thank you all of you staff that worked so hard to bring all this to us. Thank you, Mr. Beckwith, for doing a great job. Appreciate it. At this time, we will take a motion to go into executive session, and we will discuss personnel report, student hearing procedures, student hearings, OEC progress, and legal matter. And when we come out, we will vote on any action taken. So we thank you all for coming. I expect all of you to be here when we come out. I don't think so. But thank you for coming and supporting DD4. And at this time, we will take a motion to go in executive session.
So move, Madam Chairman.
Dr. Hodges, do we have a second?
Second.
And was that you? Mr. Folks, seconded. Any questions? All in favor, please raise your right hand. We are now in executive session. Thank you all.